Good morning, everyone. Oh. Okay, now we're set. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to share some thoughts as you start your day. Whether your day, like mine, has already felt like an entire day has passed with all of the responsibilities of getting our lives organized together, making sure that the dog got walked, because as you can see, at least through the glare, it's a beautiful sunny day, and we're trying to take advantage of the outside as much as possible and in safety. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts as we begin our day, and thank you to the Valley Bethlehem community for organizing incredible programming for us to be connected together through these uncertain times. And just speaking of that, it's very important that you continue to stay connected with us. So you'll have an opportunity to connect with us at 10:30 this morning with Cantor Barron as we go through some music and meditation. Also this evening we have an incredible lecture conversation with Rabbis Feinstein and David Wolpe of Sinai Temple connecting, and it'll be a wonderful opportunity for us to gain some wisdom and connection from some great rabbis and teachers in our community. Also, we have our daily minyan. It's still running live stream, and be sure that you continue to watch those and participate in those and maintain that spiritual anchor as you go throughout your day. And finally, tomorrow night, we'll be learning together in addition to our lecture series that started last night with Rabbi Farkas, tonight with Rabbi Feinstein. Tomorrow night it will be with me at 7 p.m. and we'll be studying the Musar tradition, which is kind of like a spiritual curriculum based on some timeless values, and we'll be exploring the value or the virtue of order and how we can apply that to our lives, especially in a tremendously chaotic time that we find ourselves. So for our morning's Kavanah, what I hope that we can focus on while the news continues to crash over us like the rush of waves on the seashore is that while all of these incredibly uncertain moments seem to be overwhelming and impossible to find some direction in the midst of the dramatic changes that are taking place, that we look for a sense of purpose and a sense of connection. Nothing's more disappointing than hearing amidst all of this news a wedding couple that had to postpone their wedding because they can't gather their friends and their family together and express the love that they have been sharing with each other, with the world at this most precious time. And I wanted to take a moment and help imagine what that moment is like with you, and stand underneath a chuppah, a wedding canopy. One of the essential moments of a wedding is this expression of kedushah. It's the moment when the groom and the bride, the wedding couple, they turn to each other and they not only express devotion to each other, but there's something powerful in the connection, the relationship. And the word that we use is kedushah. And kedushah in Hebrew means holiness, but the concept itself is actually connected to the sense of separation. And we can see this in so many aspects of our tradition. We can look from the Torah and see, even at the beginning of the story of how the world was created, God separates the days. After 6 days, rests and calls the seventh day Kodesh. And Kodesh there means separate and distinct. And we've created a whole structure of behavior around separating ourselves in time and allowing us to encounter the things that are most precious and important to us, family and the values that we hold dear to us, and hope that our lives are the masterpieces that we envision them to be. On Shabbat, we're able to take a few moments and experience that. It's also something that we use when we place a Torah in the ark. It's called an Aron HaKodesh. The Aron HaKodesh is the cabinet in which we place the Sefer Torah scrolls. And there's something very powerful in the separation between the Torahs being placed in this unique space in a room and the moment in which we open up the doors with great reverence and joy and remove the Torah so that we can can study and celebrate it. And even at the end of the Sabbath day, as we hear this concept coming forward again, when we distinguish between the day of holiness, Shabbat, and the week to come, Chol, Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol. This concept of separation and connection is very powerful in our tradition, and it really does typify how we are to behave. That's why in the middle of the book of Leviticus, we have the adjuration from God, Kedoshim tiyu, you should be holy, which means that you should not be pure and separate and distinct from the rest of the world. God forbid that that would be the case of what kedushah is really about. But really what it is that it's sacred connection. There's something transcendent about what it means to separate and distinguish ourselves and our space so that we can allow something very powerful to emerge between us. That's what kedushah is all about. And kedushah of that magnitude is not something that divides us. It's actually a reshaping and redefinition of the boundaries that exist. There are necessary boundaries, just like 6 days and the Sabbath day. There are necessary boundaries between a Sefer Torah and what's permitted to use, where we're permitted to use it and where we're not. There's something very sacred about how we shape time in our lives and we emerge into the world with a renewed sense of responsibility after experiencing a connection of holiness. That sense of kedushah, that sense of holiness is something that we should find, especially in a time like this, because there is a lot of separation that's taking place. We're sequestering ourselves in homes. We're shutting down the world and the way that we interact in the public sphere. And all that separation may be very dark and filled with despair. But I hope that today that you have this concept that kedushah is the opportunity. It's the quest of making connection. It's the quest of connecting to that which is transcendent between us. Kedushah is an opportunity to connect to the values and the qualities that make us the very best as human beings. And so while we're separating ourselves physically for our health and safety, I hope that we're breaking down the boundaries. We're breaking down the separations that limit us in acting compassionately with each other, of extending kindness toward each other, of ensuring that our care and our respect for each other is something that we are ever focused on, and that we take in this unique time an extra sense of responsibility to practice that sense of kedushah, that quality of holiness and sacred connection in the world. I hope that as today unfolds, that you can find some measure of acting holy, acting with kedushah, acting with sacred connection in your day. And may that connection, whether it be in a conversation that you have with a friend or a loved one, or whether it's a gesture of kindness that you extend to a stranger by making sure that their needs are provided for, or it's something grand and noble, like taking a renewed sense of advocacy to make sure that the most needy among us are being cared for as our governments decide how to address the great crises of a world shut down. However you take that moment and act with kedushah, not only do I hope you find it, but I hope that it gives you a renewed sense of purpose, a renewed sense of connection, a renewed sense of light, and a renewed sense of hope. Have a great day.